Welcome to another Vintage League here. Today we're doing something a little different than my normal series of Vintage League, and we're doing something a bit more fun here, a bit silly. And it's very much a David versus Goliath, Rocky versus whoever, pick your movie kind of fight here, where we're probably going to be it will be an underdog against everything, probably that we play against here in the league. So but I think it's an interesting idea, and it's something I've wanted to try for a little bit and haven't gotten around to it. So we're gonna give it a whirl here. Now, the core idea here is that's an Oath of Druids deck. An Oath of Druids, if your opponent has more creatures than you can reveal cards on your upkeep from the top of your library until you reveal a creature and put it into play. So that's very strong. For only 2 green mana, you can put some really expensive creatures into play. Right now in Vintage, it's usually Atraxa, the one that comes into play. You look at 10 cards, put some into your hands. It's got like lifelink and flying and vigilance and stuff. Very silly creature. The other option is Pyrogoyf, and that's not as commonly played, but you can play Pyrogoyf as a creature that can win the game. It can also hardcast it, unlike Atraxa. So that one's not as popular. Those are really the 2 options, but there's definitely other things that you can do and people have done over the years with Oath of Druids. Today we're doing something a little different here. So the idea is the Transformers cards. We've got a few here. We'll go through them a little closer. Flame War, Megatron, and Blitzwing Cruel Tormentor. So all of these cards have 2 sides, and one of the sides is not a creature. So, for instance, Blitzwing Cruel Tormentor here, on its backside is not a creature. So during your opponent's turn, it's not going to trigger Oath of Druids. So if it's flipped over on the backside here, it's got living metal, and it says during your turn, this vehicle is also a creature. So the only creature on our turn. So for Oath of Druids, you can have that out, and it's not going to let your opponent get a creature. Same thing with Megatron. You can put it in on its front side, then you go to your post-combat main phase and you can convert it, and it becomes a tank. And the tank's got living metal, so you go to your opponent's turn and it's no longer a creature. Flame War, same thing. It'll come in on its front side from Oath, where you can play it on its back side. It comes on its front side. You can then sacrifice an artifact still on your turn. And then when you go to your opponent's turn, it's a motorcycle and not a vehicle, and not a creature. So it doesn't trigger Oath. Blitzwing's a little different. So Blitzwing, if it comes into play and you don't deal any damage to your opponent for that turn, it will flip and not be a creature. So that is an option. But we've got a fun synergy here. So we've got Oath of Druids that mills creatures, and mills your cards in your library until you hit a creature. So let's say you mill 10 cards or 15 cards, then you hit a Blitzwing, and Blitzwing it'll come on its front side first. And Blitzwing says, at the beginning of your end step, target opponent loses life equal to the life that player lost this turn. If no life is lost this turn, convert Blitzwing. And as we're milling, we're going to hopefully hit some Creeping Chills. Creeping Chill is when it's put into your graveyard from your library, which works with Oath of Druids, because that's going to mill them. You can exile it. If you do, Creeping Chill does 3 damage to each opponent, and you gain 3 life. So if you mill, say, 2 Creeping Chills, and then you hit your Blitzwing, that's 6 damage from the Creeping Chills. You go to your end step, and Blitzwing will double it, so it becomes 12 damage just from 2 Creeping Chills there. And then you still have this big 6/5 in play, and we'll get to the rest of the deck. There's also a bunch of other burn spells and stuff in here that work very nicely with this front side. So even though you do have a creature in play at that point, there's a very good chance that you just win the game there. And Megatron and Flame War aren't quite as good as closing out the game right away, but they are cards you can play from your hand converted, so they don't trigger Oath, or you can just convert them after Oath happens, which is good. And Flame War is actually, I think, a pretty good card. It's got a little bit of a problem in that if you want to play it for 2 mana with this more than meets the eye cost converted, it's a 2/1, so that is the Orcish Bowmaster, but it's got a very strong ability here. Whenever it deals damage, you exile that many cards to top of your library face down. You put intel counters on them. And on the front side, it'll let you put all of those cards into your hand. So actually a very strong draw engine in this deck, while also having Menace and Death Touch and being able to get damage through, which is important here in our burn damage deck. Megatron can also deal damage. It can sacrifice artifacts on the back side here, deal damage to creatures, and then excess damage is dealt to our opponents there, so pretty cool. And we already talked about the synergy with Oath of Druids and milling into Creeping Chills, which is great. And there's a couple of ways to fill out this deck, and I kind of went with, I thought, with a fun way here of just really leaning into this burn strategy. So we've got these Creeping Chills with the Oath, which deal damage, and we're leaning into that to try and close out to the game with different burn spells here. So we've got some, really obvious ones here, some of the best burn spells in the history of Magic. Chain Lightning, deal 3 damage to any target. Lightning Bolt, deal 3 damage to any target. Black Vise is a fun one. It deals damage equal to the number of cards in the opponent's hand -4. So if they're starting on 7, you play this on turn 1, they take 3 damage right away on turn 1, and then maybe some more later. It does lose value later on in the game and after mulligans and stuff, so this was one of the last cards I put into the deck. I wasn't 100% sold on it, but I'm going to give it a shot. We got Roiling Vortex here. Now this one I think is one of the most important cards in the deck. So it's continuous damage, 1 every turn. If a player plays a spell that has no mana, so any Mox, Black Lotus, say they pitch a Force of Will, they're taking 5. And it can stop a life gain. So Lurrus is a big card in the format. This can stop Lurrus gaining life. So that can actually come up as well, the life gain bit here. But just having the ability to, if your opponent really wants to play a Moxen or a Lotus or force something, they've got to pay 5 life is big. I think Smash to Smithereens is another really good one in this deck. We're playing Vintage. This is a very artifact-heavy format. This deals 3 damage to that artifact's controller by destroying it, so we get damage and some removal in here. Pretty good. Flame of Keld. So I wanted a bit of reach in this deck, and this is one of the 2 kind of draw cards or engines I kind of put in here. So the first thing is you discard your hand. That's not great, but ideally you play this as the last thing in your hand after you've played your cards. The next turn you draw 2 cards, that's very good. And then the last one is the red source you control will deal damage to a permanent player, deals that much +2 instead. So that can turn all your lightning bolts and chain lightnings into 5 damage. That's, that's pretty strong there. We're going to give that a whirl. We already talked about the Transformers. We got Palantir of Orthanc here. This is the other engine card I chose to go with on top of Flame of Keld. At the end of your end step, you get to scry 2, and then you either get to draw a card your opponent chooses, or they mill cards and you'll deal damage here. Now, normally giving your opponent a choice is not a good idea, but all of our cards are dealing damage, and then milling deals damage, so it's not really a choice. It's just extra consistent burn here, and it scales up, so I think that's pretty good as far as the engines go in this deck. And then we've got Maddening Hex. Now this one's a little chunky at 3, and you need double red for it, so it's a little tough to cast, but it has a really strong ability. It's worded a bit funny because it's an EDH card, but since you only have 1 opponent in 1 vs. 1 Vintage, it always is attached to your opponent, so you can ignore that bit. And it basically just reads, whenever your opponent casts a non-creature spell, and there's a lot of good ones of those in Vintage, you roll a d6 and they take that much damage. So that's I can add up very quickly. And that stays around, it just keeps doing that. So it's a very strong piece against some of the more combo decks in the format there. It's just a little hard to cast. The only issue with it. Went over Creeping Chill. You can also hard cast it if it's in your hand. We have, black mana and Moxen and stuff. Not impossible to get to 4 mana and hard cast this. But ideally we want to be milling into it with Oath of Druids. And then lastly in the main deck we've got Fire Blast, another just really good standard burn spell there. Mana base is Jund. We've got one plateau here in case we draw Megatron and we want to cast it for its more than meets the eye cost converted. So we have an option of doing that on top of the Pearl and the Lotus. Have the white source in our deck. And then to get a little bit of reach here, we don't want to play creatures that we can't convert here because we don't want our opponent to trigger Oath of Druids. But we've got a couple things here that in the right situation can deal damage or become creatures. This one is Mount Doom. It can make on-color mana and also deal a little bit of damage. We've got Urza's Saga. That's a classic. But it can also just make tokens and beat down if we don't have an Oath. Then we also went with, there's a couple options, there's a red and green one that's pretty good too. I went with the Restless Cottage here. So it comes into play tap, that's not great, but it makes on-color, colors here, black and green. And become a 4/4 creature until end of turn and beat down, which is quite good. But then on our opponent's turn, it's no longer a creature, so it doesn't trigger Oath of Druids. And then we got top, just to filter a little bit, you grab it with Saga. And that's the main deck. Sideboard, we've got Leyline of the Void and Soul Guide Lanterns for the bizarre strategies. Null Rod Collector Oof for some of the artifact-based combo decks. Pyrostatic Pillar for some of the other combo decks. They're going to be playing a lot of spells like PO or Jewel Shops. And then Sudden Shock's a fun one. So this can kill a Psychic Frog if they haven't discarded any cards yet. So it's a 1/2 Psychic Frog, and you play this. They can't respond to it. Just kill the Psychic Frog. And it also kills Lurrus, which has lifelink, which is the problem for our deck. So this is a good way to make sure we can kill a Lurrus. Alright, so thanks for tuning in here. If you can give a like, a subscribe, and a comment, that's really appreciated. Trying to grow the channel a little bit here, and if you're enjoying it, that would help me. And yeah, great. Let's get into round one here. Alright, we're on the play here. Let's see how we do. Alright, I think keep. So they didn't reveal a Lurrus, so we can play out. If they're on Jewel, we probably just lose anyway. I think we keep this and then hope they're on Mono White Initiative or something. We want them to play a creature, so we're just going to hold back the Oath, and if they're on Jewel, then we just die. Oh, looks like Doomsday. Oh, that's okay. I assume this gets countered. Yep. Oh, they're playing a Federal Alchemist version. Okay. I have a trophy with a Federal Alchemist bug from like a week or two ago, maybe 3 at this point. Check that video out on my channel. The Deathrite Shaman can gain life, annoyingly, so we are just going to try and bolt the Shaman here. Alright, they drew the Sapphire then. Oh, they got a recall. Alright, well, that's a problem. But they've got Nadu then, so the combo here, if you haven't seen my other video, is a Phyto Alchemist and Nadu. So you can use this twice in your turn to untap itself. That with Nadu add that draws 2 cards. You go to your opponent's turn in the upkeep, use it again to draw 2 cards, and then I can untap another creature like Nadu. So it's 5 cards a turn cycle that you get to draw here. So. Pretty cool. And you can also untap Moxen, get the little mana dork, because it untaps artifacts and creatures. 5, just hanging out. That's representing hardcast Force of Will if they just pass. I think they're worried about playing a creature into Oath. They're doing something, though. They're not that worried. They're just scrying. Interesting. True Hero also played this deck in a challenge. They got 9th, made a few modifications. So this isn't a Phyto Alchemist, just in the morph version of it. Okay. So if they have a Nadu in hand, this will be very scary. I think I'm tempted to bolt this. We're not in a long game here, and I kind of think we need to try and just win quickly. So this, if it connects next turn, would deal 3 damage, then it flips, and then Chain Lightning deals 6, because it's the front ability of this. The front ability of this is the end of turn. They lose life with the life lost this turn, so it doubles it, which is pretty good. So I think we just have to hope they don't have Nadu here. Nadu can just block this thing anyway. So even if we kill it, they play Nadu, we're just not doing anything. And Nadu here would be pretty brutal. Blue, black, green, Nadu. Oh no, it's Tinker. Okay. So we're in trouble here anyway. Time Vault. They got a key. Oh yeah, they don't need a key. So a Phyto Alchemist combo here is Phyto Alchemist untaps Time Vault to win. So I guess I should have Chain Lightning, but yeah. All right, go to game 2. I guess that was a little greedy. I think that's okay. And go on the draw, I'll take out a Black Visor too. I kind of like them on the play. Yeah, I was greedy. I regret that. Should have. They had Nadu. They had 4 Nadus in the deck. Tinker, naturally drawing Time Vault. So after a recall there, they had 6 cards that really punished us. I think even Citadel, because you can use. They'd have had to untap it. Oh, that they could have cast Citadel, because they had to untap the Alchemist anyway. Or flip it with the morph cost. Yeah, I got greedy. If that's okay. Alright. Oh jeez, and our recall. Okay. Sure. Wow. Would have liked to turn one the Roiling Vortex. Oh boy. Alright, we will respond here. If they have Nadu, we just lose here if we don't take out the Alchemist, so we're gonna... Oh boy, okay. Yeah, we're dead. I guess they did have recall both games, so that's gonna happen, but a little unfortunate. Yeah, now we're dead. But I'll let you see the combo here. So you untap itself twice. Yeah, you untap it again. And now they can, if they don't have anything, go to our turn and do it again. We were never winning this game, but game one's probably on me there. I'm just curious if they've made any changes, or if they're right now I'm not sure if they're playing my version or the True Hero version, or a third version, so just kind of curious now, so I'm gonna play it out for a second. But we're definitely dead, so feel free to go to the next match here. Yeah, so it's 2 per turn, but that's if Nadu limits you to 2 of these abilities per turn. That's your turn and their turn, so you can just keep doing it on our turn, their turn, that kind of thing. And then you can use it to untap Deathrite Shaman as a mana dork, which is pretty cool. They don't have any creatures in play in the graveyard, so I think we're just going to go face here. And Roiling Vortex does have an ability to counter life gain if we get to that stage of the game, which we won't, but if we did. Main deck, Feed the Swarm. Okay, so that's probably my list. Maybe a True Hero left that in. I'm not sure if they did. Feed the Swarm is kind of a pet card of mine. Most other people aren't playing Feed the Swarm. But it's an out to Oath of Druids. Oh no, this is game 2, so they could have brought it in. So that's not true. And yeah, they get Time Ball here, then we'll just scoop. And can activate it. Or they can activate it, definitely, because good game. Alright. Off to the next round. Okay, next round here. Then I go through they've got a Lurrus of the Dream Den. So that's hopefully a control Lurrus build for us here. We've got a reasonable hand. We've got some removal, and we can curve into playing Palantir Vorthank as our draw engine here, or we can, for its more than meets the eye ability for 2 red, we can play it Flame War converted on turn 2 if we want to. So let's see what we do here. They can see our hand right away. They got a Lotus, but no land. They're probably hoping to draw into a land there with the Lotus. Oh, they get a Time Twister. So we're just going to bolt them, and then we get a new hand. No lands, that's unfortunate. And they got a Ponder. So we still don't have a land, so it's going to play a top, and that unfortunately does get hit by the misstep. They don't have a threat on turn 2, which is interesting. That means they probably have an Orcish Bowmaster up. And they do. I should have played the Chain Lightning there, I think. I think I was thinking they were both lightning bolts. The Chain Lightning is sorcery speed, so I think I should just fire that one off. They buy Lurrus. We got our Oath of Druids down, and we Chain Lightning them, but it gets dazed. They go for a Brainstorm. And an Ancestral Recall, so that's scary. But we get to activate our Oath of Druids here. We got a Flame War and no Creeping Chill, so not the best. But that is a blocker. We're going to leave it in play and not convert it. We could sacrifice an artifact to convert Flame War here and make it not a creature, but they have 2 creatures in play because of the Orcish Bowmaster, so we're just not going to bother converting it. They got another Orc in and they get to ping us. That's fine. Let's go again with the Oath of Druids. So we hit 4 Creeping Chills, all 4, and the Blitzwing, and we win. That's a pretty cool. That was a pretty cool end here. So we milled into all these Creeping Chills. The Creeping Chill has, when it's put into your graveyard from your library, you can exile it, deal 3 damage to your opponent, and you gain 3 life. So go to 8 down to hitting 3 of them would have killed them. We actually only needed 2 because we hit Blitzwing. And Blitzwing says, at the beginning of your end step, target opponent loses life equal to the life they lost this turn. So they were at 8. So if we hit 2 Creeping Chills, that'd be 6, doubling to 12 and kill them. So really fun one there. We got to do exactly what we were trying to. Let's go to game 2. So our opponent, we don't have a ton to sideboard in this matchup. We brought in the Sudden Shocks to try and deal with Lurrus and Frog. So they don't pitch any cards to Frog when it's still a 1/2. We can play Sudden Shock, and because of the split second ability, it can't respond to that, and we get to kill the Frog. They have a very strong start here with turn 1 Frog and Lotus. So let's see what we can do. Decide to get them to pitch some cards to save their Frog, and they do. We really want to draw a green mana source here. Now I do something dumb here. I played the Sudden Shock first, and then the Oath got dazed. I don't know why I did that. I don't have an explanation. I think I was just excited that I could kill the Lurrus. I got a little carried away there, but definitely should have played that the other way around, where I played the Oath of Druids first. We could have actually won this one. We got the Black Vise down here to do them some damage, and at least Lurrus is dead, so they're not gaining life. So we just have to race the Frog now, which is going to be tough if we don't draw any lands. And we don't, so yeah, we're dead there. That was a bit silly from me, admittedly. Let's go to game 3. So we have to take a mulligan, but then we get a reasonable hand here. We've got Maddening Hex and Palantir, and then a Bolt plus lands. Not a terrible hand. That is not a good draw. We don't want to see Creeping Chill. We want Oath of Druids or Burn. Cheaper Burn. Turn 2 Saga Demonic Tutor is a scary start. We're just going to start trying to get some damage in here. Bam. I'm not sure why I didn't play the Palantir here. Would have preferred to get that forced. I wanted to get the Maddening Hex down. Maddening Hex gets a lot worse as the longer the game goes on, so I was hoping just to get that down. But getting the Palantir down is good here. And you turn you scry 2, and your opponent gets to choose if you draw or not. So they mill a Creeping Chill. So they take 4 from the converted mana cost of the Creeping Chill, and then the Creeping Chill triggers and we deal 3 more, which is quite fun. We got another Maddening Hex. And we get to do the Lantern. We kind of find our Oath of Druids, which is quite good. I'm going to get rid of the Lurrus because it can gain life there. And they play a Cage. This will stop our creature coming in from the Oath of Druids. Draw the Flame Lord, can play that from hand. We do have to chump block here because they've got 7 damage here. They could pitch 4 to Frog, so if we don't chump block here, unfortunately, we could just die. So if we had 1 more life, we wouldn't have to chump block, but we do because of that. So it's getting very close here. We can't put the Blitzwing into play because of the Grafdigger's Cage. So we were able to hit them for 3, milling a Creeping Chill, and then bolting them out at the very end here. So really nice win there. Tough matchup, obviously, but that's really... well, they're all tough matches, but this is what we want to play against the Lurrus control here. It's a bit slower. We can try and burn them out and stop the Lurrus, and we did. That was really fun. All right, next match. All right, we're against Fire Truck here, other YouTuber as well. Their channel is great, check them out. Usually on bizarre strategies, but occasionally they'll play something else. Alright, so let's see what they're on. Force of Vigor, Serum Powder, Hollow One, Hollow. Oh, jeez. Okay. Triple Hollow One. Alright. That's a problem. We got Megatron. Megatron's not going to help us here. I just want to see if they're... We're dead, but I want to see if they're Bizarre or Countervine. Okay, they're Countervine. Yeah, they're definitely... Oh, okay, they're Aggrovine. Alright. Okay, and we're just gonna scoot. We'll go to game 2. These all seem quite bad in this matchup. Maybe we bring in the ley lines. I'm not 100% sure. They don't really... The ley lines don't do a ton here. Not as much as they would in other games for us. I think we are going to bring them in, but maybe one soul guide. Not sure about this. Could definitely see a case for just not bringing in the ley lines, but we're not really set up for Aggrovine here. But if they've left in the collector oofs, the soul guides are not very good, so a lot of these cards aren't very good. This is garbage. Okay. I think we're going to be a bit greedy here. We're going to be greedy. If they've got Force of Vigor here, we die horribly, but that can go on the bottom. I think that can also go on the bottom. Could have used that Bloodstain Mire. Alright, Lotus Petal. Cradle. Ouch. Alright, that's rough. We don't really have that many artifacts on our deck, so that is tough. That's brutal. Okay. Can't do anything there. We need to draw like runner, land into Oath or something. We don't have many outs here. They have a pretty quick clock now with that. Oh, jeez. Okay. Yeah, we're dead. Oh, we're super duper dead. Yeah, we don't have anything that deals with this. Ooh. Alright, so we start off on the draw here, and our opponent has a turn 1 Oath of Druids, giving us a spirit token. And we don't have ways of making our opponent have creatures in this deck, so that's bad. I don't even want to show them what we're doing here. because we can't win this game with an Atraxa, so I just didn't even play anything. I just wanted to see their deck, see if they were on Atraxa Oath or the Pyrogoyf, less common but still out there, Pyrogoyf Oath version or something wild. Sometimes people like us do play other Oath decks, I mean, but yeah, they're on the Atraxa version here. Atraxa has a lifelink, so don't think we're ever getting away from this one. So that's it. Let's go to game 2. We don't really have a sideboard for this. I don't think we can actually win this matchup. We were just hoping to dodge it. It's not super popular right now. Oath is struggling in the meta. So we kept the Pyrostatic Pillar burn heavy hand. If they have a slower hand, there is a world here where we can win. We're just going to start chaining them, and then hopefully they play some stuff that hits the Pyrostatic Pillar. So they put an Oath into play there, that hits them. We hit them with the Lightning Bolt, but we can deal, they don't have an artifact, we can deal them 5 here, that brings them down to 6, but that's not quite good enough because they're going to get an Atraxa. If they would have had to play their Oath 1 turn later, if they had a Moxen out, maybe we could have pulled this one off, but once they get Atraxa into play, it's just not going to happen. So, alright. Alright, we're on the play for this round. This hand doesn't do anything. This hand doesn't do a lot, but we'll keep it. Death Knight Shaman, sure. Sure. That's a problem. I think we need to dig here. I think we are going to play this out. It does play into Orcish Bowmasters, but no guarantee we find a 3rd mana source the next couple of draws when it gets stuff going here. Red, okay, red-green. Alright, gonna wasteland us. That's a good draw. So next turn we can do these special things. So this turn I think we're just going to. Vortex. Going. Oh, they just have another wasteland. Yep, that's bad. We have a collector oof here that certainly would seal the game. Yes. Okay. So we have no lands, and they can gain life with the shaman. I'm happy to scoop here. Do. Don't think maddening hex is really where we want to be. Sudden Shock's interesting. Maybe one hex is okay. Try that. Alright, we'll give this a shot. Okay. Kind of want to try and bait a counter spell here. No counter spell. Maybe should have just played the Oath. Could see them taking out that against us. What do they got? They got a Verdant Catacombs. Okay. They got a ton of mana here. What do they want to do with it? Ancestral Recall. Alright, well. Maybe it was silly not to just jam the Oath and to try and play around things a little bit. Right in 6, okay. Okay. Sure. I assume this gets countered and then we die, but no, okay. Oh, they got a Force of Vigor. Okay, we're dead then. Think I'm happy just to call it a day there. Maybe play one more turn for fun. Alright, I'm just gonna pack it up there. We tried. Good game. Alright, so we end up 1-4, which about what I was figuring. I'm just glad we got a win. We did not crack the meta here, but I think we had some fun, or at least I had some fun. Especially in that game 2 where we managed to beat Lurrus Control, arguably the top deck in the format right now with our fun brew here. I like the idea though, it just isn't quite there yet. I think the burn side of this just isn't good enough. I like the Oath of Druids Transformers package, maybe with the Creeping Chills, but I think a lot of this other stuff needs to get replaced with, I don't know, I think cards that are a bit more impactful or probably a whole different strategy. I think just the burn angle here just overall isn't powerful enough. I was considering some sort of like Beseech the Mirror combo plan on top of the Oath of Druids plan. There's like a secondary way of going about this. There's a couple things you can do, maybe like Helm of Obedience Leyline. There's a few other ways you can try and build on top of the Oath of Druids Creeping Chill package here. So I think something to think about. I don't think I'll try the burn version again. I think this was enough of the burn version. But I'm open to ideas. If anyone has ideas for kind of ways to try and rebuild this or go about it, I'm happy to hear it down below. I really like the Transformers. I really like the Transformers cards. They're fun. I think milling into Creeping Chilled with Oath is fun. Just I don't think the burn strategy is really viable. As fun as it is, it's fun to play burn spells, but as fun as that is, just not really a viable strategy, unfortunately. But I'm gonna keep thinking about it. If I figure out, I think, a new way of rebuilding this deck without all the red burn stuff, I might give it a go again. But yeah, the other thing I was thinking was potentially making like a shops deck and playing like living weapons, so aren't technically creatures. Things like Nettle Cyst and Shop, to try and have like sort of a beatdown plan. It's not actually a creature based, which could be fun. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, even though it wasn't the most serious league. I had fun, and yeah, any feedback, positive or negative, that you have, happy to hear it. All right, thanks for tuning in, and remember, like, comment, and subscribe if you can. All right, bye.